Hello, callers, and welcome to Viva Barca. Welcome to another interesting episode where we are going to be discussing on some interesting updates. We are going to be discussing on two stories, starting with Sofian Amrabat, of course, after the deal collapsed on deadline day yesterday. The Fiorentina midfielder is reportedly devastated and very hurt after the move failed yesterday deadline day. We are going to be discussing more on that as we progress. Then secondly, talking about Bernardo Silva, as it has been reported that Manchester City, of course, made the deal so complicated for Barca because reports are saying that, Silva wanted to leave the club, even on the deadline day, but the move to Barcelona was so complicated. We are also going to be discussing on that. So guys, before we get right into the full story, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Turn on the post bell notification to always stay notified whenever I post a new video. Consider liking the video and please watch the video right up to the very end. Barca, Barca, Barca. Ahead of deadline day, it seems Barcelona had made Fiorentina's Sofian Amrabat their prime transfer target. A defensive midfielder by trade, the Moroccan and Xavi's approval, and of course would have served as the mid to long-term successor for Sergio Busquets. Barcelona's opening and only bid to loan him with a purchase option was turned down by Fiorentina, though the Catalans had offered them 40 million euros in total fees, including 3 million euros as a loan transaction. Amrabat himself wanted to move to Barcelona badly and had even skipped training to force the transfer. In fact, he was reportedly in conversation with the club president personally in an attempt to convince him last minute. Eventually, Barcelona reportedly called the transfer off after toiling all day. They have shifted their attention to LA Galaxy's Julian Araujo instead, with a move, of course, which also collapsed according to reports. Meanwhile, according to Tony Juan Marti, Amrabat has been left devastated and hurt after Barcelona's pursuit of him was rejected by Fiorentina. The midfielder was promised that he would be allowed to leave the club on a loan plus option to buy transfer if a suitable offer arrived. However, the club president did not keep his promise, leaving Amrabat stuck in Italy on deadline day. Barcelona also managed to reach Fiorentina's total asking price of 40 million euros, but the club had changed their stance and wanted guaranteed money. They were looking for a permanent transfer or at least a loan deal that would include the obligation to buy. The journalist meanwhile has claimed that while the option to sign Amrabat has sunk in the winter, Barcelona will continue to keep tabs on him for summer. Eventually, any move for him and others will be dictated by financial fair play and La Liga's unnecessarily rigid policies. Yesterday deadline day was full of the update on Amrabat because he was the most talked about player for Barca's transfer, and to be honest, it seemed as though the move could have materialized. All of a sudden, everything collapsed. Everything collapsed, and the player himself, according to this report, is very disappointed, very hurt by the fact that the move did not collapse. At least he knew that it was a huge step in his career going to a bigger club, and after the promises that Fiorentina president had made, he did not fulfill it. And this is a guy who did not even he skipped training. He skipped some training sessions just because he wanted to force a move to FC Barcelona. But what happened during the day? Nothing came to pass. The player did not go anywhere, and definitely it was a failed transfer. So it was not meant to be. Maybe the summer transfer window, according to reports, Barca will go back to him. But as I earlier said, it all depends on the financial fair play regulations, because we all know how La Liga just unnecessarily make rigid fair play that Barcelona have been a victim for a long time now. So let's see how it goes for Barca. Of course, we all know Amrabat is a defensive midfielder, and we know that Busquets' future at Barca is still very uncertain, even though I've been getting rumors of maybe a contract extension against the wishes of many Barca fans. Amrabat have been seen or have been selected by Xavi as the player that might replace him in the long term. Amrabat is just 26 years old. So I think from what we have seen in his World Cup, and of course, in fact, he's a good player, not just in the World Cup with Morocco, even during his time playing for Fiorentina, Amrabat have been doing so well. So it's gonna be, complicated. But let's see how the summer will look like when it comes to bringing in a new DM. Because definitely Barca had already said, okay, you know what, we'll pay a total of 40 million euros. We'll start first of all with a loan move for 3 million. Then the remaining 37 million will be finished in the summer. But it seems as though the agreement did not match with what Fiorentina really wanted. Then moving on to the next story of discussion. With the clock ticking, Barca were open to many opportunities, as they look to sign at least one top quality player in the January transfer window. While the club, of course, did make majorly targets such as Sofian Amrabat and Anthony Elanga, Gerard Romero did drop a bombshell report suggesting the club's top target Bernardo Silva was currently very unhappy at Man City and wanted to join Barca on deadline day. Regarded as one of the most crucial players in that Manchester City setup, Bernardo Silva has been highly successful during his time at the Etihad. But despite the success, the playmaker has been long linked with a move to Barcelona, with Xavi Hernandez being a huge admirer. Barca tried to sign Silva during the summer transfer window, but the move did not materialize. The player himself did not make much of a fuss either and was willing to continue at the Etihad. But this time around, Silva is unhappy, of course, with his life at Man City, and just like João Cancelo, he wants to depart the club, perhaps even in the January transfer window. According to Gerard Romero, Barca, were not even in a position to sign Silva on that transfer deadline day. They can, however, sign the Portuguese international if Manchester City magically agrees to a loan move with a non-mandatory purchase option. The player also has to settle for a massive salary cut, but that was not meant to be. But that remains just as unrealistic as it sounds. Fernando Polo did report that Barca had admitted they will not be able to sign any more players in January and are focused on registering players such as Gavi. Hence, the idea of a summer move to the Camp Nou is more of a likely proposition for Bernardo Silva, who could be looking for a fresh challenge next season after an incredibly successful spell in the Premier League. So guys, with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe so you always stay up to date. Until next time, it's bye for now.